Hi, it's Katrina. My friend David is going to be helping me out with the voiceover today, so I hope you enjoy.
Number 10. The chronovisor. The chronovisor is a special device supposedly hidden within the Vatican that allows an individual to see through time. The accusations go back to the 1960s when Father Francois Brune met Father Pellegrino Ernetti. Apparently, while the pair were sailing through the Grand Canal of Venice, Ernetti, who worked for the Vatican, revealed the truth of the chronovisor. Ernetti claimed that theories and biblical interpretations were unnecessary because he had seen the truth for himself. He and other priests at the Vatican had used the chronovisor to look into the past and were able to see exactly what happened 2,000 years ago. Unfortunately, we don't have any details about how the machine functions. However, there's an old article from 1972 that was published in La Demonica del Corriere talking about it, and Father Brune wrote of the device in his 2002 book titled Le Nouveau Mystère du Vatican. But still, nobody really knows how it works. Rumor has it that it was built in the 1950s with help from top Italian scientists, and supposedly even the Nazi SS scientist Werner von Braun. There's even been speculation that the Nazis had access to a time machine, although if that were true, they most likely wouldn't have lost the war. Number 9. The Exorcist and the Devil. In 2010, Reverend Gabriel Ameth made a shocking accusation. According to him, the devil resides in the Vatican itself. The Reverend was 85 years old in 2010. For the previous 25 years, he had been the chief exorcist of the Vatican, a position most people likely didn't realize was a thing. In all those years, Gabriel Ameth treated a whopping 70,000 cases of demonic possession, which is a staggering and unbelievable number. He restrained people with ropes, tied them to their beds, and then said prayers to force the demonic entities out of their bodies. This comes as a huge shock, because you would think that with so many exorcisms being done, we would hear something about it in the news. However, these demonic possessions have been almost entirely covered up by the Church. Most people have never even heard of the official Association of Exorcists, a club of priests who are responsible for vanquishing demons. According to what Gabriel Ameth said in an interview with the Italian newspaper La Repubblica, the devil is invincible. He explained that the devil can stay hidden, speaks many different languages, and is capable of transforming himself. Sometimes the priest needs 6 or 7 assistants just to hold the possessed individual on the bed while they vomit up nails and shards of glass. As for the devil being in the Vatican, the priest said the evidence was everywhere he looked. Although he didn't mention any names, he did say the devil's work is evident at the Vatican. He believes that cardinals who don't have faith in Jesus Christ, bishops who have covenants with Satan, and all breeds of evil and corruption can be found within the walls of the Vatican itself. Number 8. Japanese Jesus. There is a place in northern Japan that the Church really doesn't want you to know about. There's a small village here that claims to be the site where Jesus Christ's tomb is really located. Forget Jerusalem and the Holy Land, Christ's mysterious tomb may be in Japan instead of Israel. According to the legend, Jesus traveled to Japan during his lost years, where he received Buddhist spiritual training. Then after he returned to Israel and was persecuted by the Romans, allegedly his younger brother, Isukiri, took the fall and was crucified instead. Jesus then fled through Russia, across Siberia, and settled in Japan as a rice farmer. He supposedly was married and died at the old age of 106. He also left behind a last will and testament in which he referred to himself as the fabled Jesus Christ. The Japanese tomb of Jesus is located in Shingo, and it's a major tourist attraction that you won't find in most travel books. His remains are apparently buried underneath a mound on a large piece of property, which is taken care of by his direct descendants. The Sawaguchi family owns the land around the tomb, and they claim to be direct blood relatives of Jesus Christ himself. Number 7. The power of witches. The Church has always tried to silence anyone claiming to be a witch, or at least women who showed any kind of independence, personality, or ambition. But what if the Church really did want to destroy witches because they had supernatural powers? Could the Church really have hunted down magical women for hundreds of years? In order to try and answer these questions, let's take a look at a woman named Mother Shipton, born Ursula Southall in 1488, England. According to the legends, Ursula was born on a dark and stormy night to her 15-year-old mother, Agatha. The woman refused to give any details about who the father of her baby was and eventually became ostracized. She and her young daughter were forced into the woods as pariahs, with the townsfolk claiming the child was conceived by the devil and that Agatha was a witch. The woman was forced to raise her daughter in a cave hidden deep in the woods. They lived a bleak existence together until Ursula was adopted by a family in town. She was taken away and never saw her mother again. At the age of 24, Ursula was married to a man named Tobias Shipton. It was around this time when people began to whisper of the strange powers Ursula supposedly possessed. She was able to heal people with herbal remedies, and she allegedly could bewitch people. After her husband died 2 years into their marriage, she moved back into the cave where she'd been raised by her mom and turned into a full-blown witch. She wound up becoming a sorceress and was able to see into the future. She predicted the Great Fire of London, the creation of the Spanish Armada, and that the world would end in 1881, which obviously didn't happen. Either way, Mother Shipton seems to be proof of some extraordinary power, one that the church tried very hard to eradicate. Number 6. Jesus the Freemason. In 1717, modern Freemasonry got its start in England. Most historians agree that the Masons were descendants of medieval builders' guilds. These people were groups of construction workers who helped to build the greatest architectural wonders in Europe, such as cathedrals, castles, and other similar buildings. The Freemasons, or at least the modern Freemasons, are mostly the descendants of builders' unions from the Middle Ages. However, if we look further back in time, we can see that Freemasonry has roots originating in the time of the Old Testament. The Freemasons had likely been behind the construction of King Solomon's temple, and some even believe they go all the way back to ancient Egypt. The Freemasons may even be connected to the builders of the pyramids themselves. Supposedly, they have also been the recipients of esoteric knowledge from an unknown intelligence. There are rumors that have circulated claiming that Jesus was a Freemason himself. In one of the forbidden books of the Bible, called the First Gospel of the Infancy of Christ, we hear about Jesus as a young boy. Allegedly, he was such a bright student that his teacher said he had nothing more to learn from them. They were astounded by the young Jesus' knowledge in astronomy, natural philosophy, and even metaphysics, all subjects that are extremely important to the Freemasons. There are even people out there who believe Jesus was the first Freemason, and that his disciples were more like his apprentices than anything else. And now for number 5. But first, it's shout-out time. We want to give a big thank you to Huey Hampton and Rude Val for watching and subscribing to this channel. If you're new to Origins Explained, be sure to subscribe and join the family. Number 5. Aliens and the Vatican. The Vatican supposedly knows that an alien civilization exists. In an extremely strange email sent by the famous astronaut Edgar Mitchell to US politician John Podesta, he allegedly claimed a space war is coming and that the Vatican is well aware of an extraterrestrial civilization. Edgar was once a NASA astronaut, and he's one of the loudest voices in the alien conspiracy theorist community. According to him, the aliens are benevolent and only want to share their technology with humanity. The email also mentions that the Vatican holds extraterrestrial knowledge. At first, it might seem completely crazy, but in reality, the Vatican has been in the space game since they built the Vatican Observatory in 1582. Apparently, they currently have an estimated 10 astrophysicists working for them on undisclosed projects. Clearly, the Church has some stake in the universe, or at least some interest in outer space. Whether they really know about a civilization of aliens or not is hard to prove, but Edgar Mitchell really seems to think so. Number 4. The Avesta. The Avesta is one of the oldest scriptures in the world, and some might consider it to be the original Bible long before the modern-day Bible was ever written. The Avesta is the official holy book of Zoroastrianism, founded by the great prophet Zoroaster between roughly 1500 and 1000 BC. It's an amazing piece of ancient history, a prayer book written in an extinct language called Avestan. According to legends, the original work of 21 books called Nasts was revealed by the one true God to the prophet prophet Zoroaster. The man then repeated the books aloud to King Vishtaspa, who had them inscribed on sheets of gold. In the centuries that followed, the laws of the religion, the customs and beliefs were all passed on verbally. It wasn't for several generations that the memorized scripture was transferred into the Avesta. But what about this book irritates the church so much? It's due to the fact that the Zoroastrianism religion is considered to be the oldest surviving monotheistic religion in the world. Zoroastrianism is also the original source of concepts found in the Bible, ranging from the devil to the end of days. In other words, this ancient religion and the stories outlined in the Avesta are nearly identical to those found in Christianity and Islam. Since Zoroastrianism was around first, most scholars believe the Christians ripped off most of their ideas. Number 3. The key to the Holy Sepulcher. We talked a little bit earlier about the Church of the Holy Sepulcher and how there are 6 denominations of Christianity sharing the structure. However, there's one thing the Church really doesn't want the general public to know about. This well-kept secret is that the key to their sacred church, one of the holiest keys in the world, is taken care of by a Muslim family. According to CNN, Adib Jawad Judah al-Husseini is the current gatekeeper of the holiest church in Christianity. He belongs to a Muslim family and has been entrusted with taking care of the Christian site for centuries. The cast iron key, kept on him at all times, is allegedly 500 years old. The reason the key to such an important Christian site is looked after by a Muslim family has to do with neutrality. The Christians, and indeed the church itself, is so unpredictable and untrustworthy that the key to the Holy Sepulcher was given over to a family of totally different faith so that they could remain a neutral guardian. The key itself is a foot long, 0.3 meters, and is a massive piece of cast iron with a triangular metal handle and a fat square end. It unlocks the doors to the very place where Jesus Christ was allegedly crucified and entombed. Adib's family has been looking after the key since at least 1517, and it's been passed on from one son to the next. Number 2. The immovable ladder. At the Church of the Holy Sepulcher, there is a very strange artifact that most people don't even know exists. It's called the immovable ladder, and it's one of the true shining examples of the division in the religions of the Holy Land. The Church of the Holy Sepulcher is considered to be one of the holiest places in all of Christianity. It's located in the heart of Jerusalem, and Christians have been making pilgrimages here since the 4th century AD. It was here on this very site where Jesus Christ was supposedly killed and resurrected. Throughout the years, different religions have risen, some have split into factions, and nobody has ever been able to agree on how to properly worship God. Because of this, the Church of the Holy Sepulcher is currently presided over by 6 denominations: the Armenian Apostolic, Greek Orthodox, the Roman Catholic Church, the Coptic, the Ethiopian, and the Syriac Orthodox as well. All the different groups occupying the same building have come to create problems over the years. And this brings us to the immovable ladder. In the first part of the 18th century, somebody placed a wooden ladder against the wall of the church. It was most likely placed there in 1728, but nobody knows who's responsible. The ladder hasn't been moved because they weren't sure which organization had placed it against the building, and so for nearly 300 years now, it has sat in the exact same position, proving just how ridiculously stubborn and bureaucratic the church is. Number 1. Fake Vatican treasure. Apparently, the Vatican was robbed, and they didn't tell the public about it. It was only recently that the US Department of Homeland Security returned a letter written by Christopher Columbus back to the Vatican. It was written in the 15th century by Columbus and was sent to his royal patrons in Europe, describing the riches of the New World. The document is worth about $1.2 million, and it had somehow been replaced with a forgery. However, the letter was not the original. After Columbus's first voyage to the Americas, he wrote a letter in Spanish in 1493. It was then promptly translated to other European languages, and 80 copies were spread across the globe. The document owned by the Vatican was just one of these copies. We don't know how the letter was stolen, only that Homeland Security received a tip in 2011 about a Vatican heist. The church has been understandably discreet about whatever happened. All we know for sure is that the document was purchased for $875,000 by a US collector named Robert Parsons, who didn't realize it had been stolen. Which of these forbidden secrets do you find the most shocking? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.